Oh, hey.
Where'd Ashley go?
I gotta add her. She's coming in late.
Stand by. I hear
There
music.
she
Here
is.
she is.
I gotta add her. She's coming in late.
Stand by. I hear
There
music.
she is.
Here she is.
Add her. She's coming in late.
I hear an echo.
I hear an echo. There she is.
Here she is.
I do too.
Late.
I hear an echo.
I hear an echo. There she is.
I do too.
Late.
I hear an echo.
I hear an echo.
I do too.
I do too.
Someone's got their volume on.
Maybe it's me. How about now?
There we go.
With me.
All right.
But I can't hear you.
There we go. What?
With me.
All right.
But I can't hear you.
No, we still got an echo.
When I put my mute on. I can't hear you.
No, we still got an echo.
When I put my mute on. I can't hear you.
No, we still got an echo.
When I put my mute on. I can't hear you.
No, we still got an echo.
When I put my mute on. I can't hear you.
No, we still got an echo.
When I put my mute on. I can't hear you.
No, we still got an echo.
When I put my mute on.
We're on an echo loop. We still got an echo.
Yeah, when I went mute, it went fine. You want me to mute?
We're on an echo loop.
Yeah, when I went mute, it went fine. You want me to mute?
We're on an echo loop.
Yeah, when I went mute, it went fine.
Somebody's computer is on. No, somebody, because I muted it. Somebody's computer is on running Facebook or something with the volume on. They have to turn, you have to mute on running Facebook or something.
Okay, I'm off of Facebook. Ashley, you off?
I'm not on Facebook.
And Ashley's muted.
Ashley's muted.
Sorry, I just closed that link. Did that work?
There, yes.
There we go.
The link was
Okay. Sorry, it was me then.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. All right, let's start over. Whoosh.
Right, sorry guys. So actually we have Facebook running right now, which is kind of a big deal. It's a huge workaround that we have to go through now that Facebook has shut off all these protocols. So I apologize in advance for all that, but it does appear that it's working. So that's a good start. There will be some hiccups, I'm sorry, but we will get it smoothed out here. But right now, everything appears to be functioning. So, hello everyone. I'm Chris. We have Stephanie, Blake, and Ashley with
Chris,
us.
talk lower. I can hear you echoing. Talk lower.
All right, go ahead and talk, Steph.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, you were going to introduce everybody. I was just saying talk lower because it was very loud.
Yeah, I just introduced everybody, so go ahead.
Okay. So welcome everybody to another live. Thank you for joining. We're going to have some hiccups maybe tonight with Facebook Live, but we are definitely going to try. Blake and Ashley, thank you for joining. Unfortunately, we don't have Jackie tonight. She's got prior commitment. But Jackie will be talking in a couple weeks on our next live about the upcoming changes to the digestive system for May 19th, 2024. That's when the changes are going to take place. I do have a video out on YouTube on these changes. However, she's going to go a little bit more in depth. So be sure to join us on our live 2 weeks from today, because she's going to talk a little bit more about that. Some people may be wondering when the changes are coming for the mental health, the audiology, and the respiratory. Rumors are floating around. It's somewhere between summer to the end of this year. So we don't really have an actual date for those changes. So it's just basically stand by to stand by. But please make sure, guys, to like this video by clicking the thumbs up. It really helps us. If you want to donate, there's an option to donate as well to support the group, or actually to support the channel, excuse me. You can do that. Drop your questions. We're here to answer your questions. As long as we have questions, we will be here. Ashley is going to be asking the questions like she always does. for us. And Blake and I are going to do our best to answer your questions. If we cannot answer a question or it's taking us too long, too in depth, we will ask you guys to email us at our email address, which will pop up from time to time. And we can try and help you a little bit more in depth through email. Sometimes it's better to go through email. We can see things and we could talk a little bit more. Make sure your questions are thorough. If you have a question, really explain what you're trying to ask so that we're not trying to pull pieces out because we are on live and it's hard to sit around. Okay, with that, I guess we'll get into the disclaimer and then I guess we'll get started. All right. So VA claims Veterans Helping Veterans is not accredited agent, VSO, attorney, or entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs and is not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with the preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance purposes and should not be considered as medical or legal advice.
Uh-oh, we lost Ash. Oh, there she is.
Okay, where'd Chris go?
Yeah,
There
I'm
he
right
is.
here. We're gonna get going. We got questions, so we'll get into it.
Okay.
We're gonna we're gonna start with a Facebook question to see if this will pop up here.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's see how this works.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. Trying to redo this, so this has been interesting. So we have some questions. I see questions, but those
Yeah,
are
I got questions here. So hold on. The widget has disappeared. So Facebook has done this wonderful thing for us. Let's see here. Facebook chat. Sorry for the delay.
It's okay.
Add the widget. Move down here.
Do 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 do
Yep.
do do do. Bear with us, guys. Thanks for joining. We appreciate it.
All right, here we go.
Okay, this first one is from Teresa Westbury. So, if veteran claimed PACT Act and got rated at 60%, ITF was on July 17th, 2023. Should he get back pay from August 10th, 2022, or the date of intent to file? He has been out of service for a year at intent to file.
So, first of all, there's no PACT Act disability. I know there was some claims probably put through under the PACT Act. Now, the PACT Act bill was passed August 10th, 2022, and you had until August 9th of 2023 to get that August 10th, 2022 date. So if there was an ITF put in July of 2023, I would almost fight for the effective date for August 10th, 2022, because that was within the year of August 9th, 2023. I'm not sure how the ITF got into to factor with it, but I do know a lot of people were putting
Right.
ITFs. What do you
I
think,
think
Blake?
you had up to a year from the date it was enacted to file. Now, if I don't know how it's interpreted, if an ITF is an intent, the intent to file counts as the actual filing date. It should.
But I'm wondering if there are other claims involved, if somehow, because the ITF was put in, if other claims besides claims for presumptive due to the PACT Act, if they were all filed at the same time. My advice is the bill was put into law on August 10th, 2023 for the PACT Act. For any presumptive, I would fight the effective date for those actual disabilities due to the presumptive from the PACT Act, because again, like I said, you had till August 9th, 2023. So I put an HLR in for the earlier effective date, also known as an EED. and ask for the early effective date for that. Now, keep in mind, just one caveat, if that's not going to change your overall percentage, then it may not be worth it. Like, I don't know if the veteran was rated prior to that, but in any event, for what it's worth, file the HLR and for the earlier effective date. That's what I would do. All right, next. I see Andy. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one is from Cookie Graver. So, VA math question, please. Husband granted service connected for stroke, 3 residuals for 30, 30, 10. Is stroke then rated for 70, or is each residual considered separate when figuring total? The claim was for stroke, so it should be 70 as one disability, or each residual when using VA math. It does make a difference.
So the stroke in of itself caused the residuals, and correct me if I'm wrong about medical terminology here, Blake. So the veteran is being rated on the residuals because of the stroke, which is the
Right.
30 30 10, correct?
Yes,
So if
ma'am.
she's asking VA math, I mean, I can tell her real quick because I have that ability to do that. But he's rated on the residuals from the stroke. So
Right.
that's what you're seeing the ratings for. The 70% isn't for the stroke. The overall 70 is for the residuals, if that makes sense. I mean, of course, the residuals are because of the stroke, right, Blake?
Correct.
Yeah. So that math is correct for those. And it's technically, I know why you're VA math is not basic math. So it's not 30 plus 30 plus 10. It's VA math. So it's very confusing. But I do have a great way to break it down in the Facebook group.
I call it sale math. When you go in and you see a item that's been marked down 2 or 3 times,
Right?
it adds up to 100%. You're not getting it free.
So again, he's being rated for the residuals from the stroke. And just if you want to know, the 30, 30, and 10, well, actually, is it 30, 30, 10?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be 60. Is that what she said, or 70? Is she
Service
asking why it's
connected
not
for stroke,
70?
3 residuals for 30, 30, 10. Is
Correct.
stroke then rated for 70, or is each residual considered separate when figuring out the total?
So 30 and 30 and 10 equate to 60 overall, not 70. So that's what he's rated for. But he's rated for the residuals. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Juan Wooten. Anyone aware of how the VA comes up with a hip range of motion? Meaning, how will they calculate the total range of motion after measuring abduction, adduction, extension, and flexion?
Each one of those are rated are measured individually. There isn't a total, so they don't add. They will just say adduction 20%, abduction. That they'll rate them that way.
And the hip can have a couple ratings too, just like the knee can have a couple ratings. And the hip is based on the like I said, the ROM, the flexion, extension, pain. So you never want to go past the pain, obviously, right? Too, but the hip can have actually several ratings to it, based on the 38 CFR. And I just wanted to mention something to Laughing Guy. Thanks for joining. He's asking a question if Clay joined our group. Thank you, Laughing Guy. Super appreciate the donation. Always. You're so awesome. So yes, Clay. So Clay had a Facebook group. Clay came to me and asked me if I would go ahead and take his members over because Facebook is just too much for him, guys. So a lot of members have been coming into our group. Real appreciative of it. Clay is there as well. He's helping out, answering questions as well. But he doesn't come on the live with us. He's got his own YouTube channel and does his thing there. But again, thank you, Laughing Guy, for the donation. We really appreciate it. It goes towards the channel supporting it. So much appreciated. Okay, next question.
Okay, this next one is from Trish Navarro. I was diagnosed for sciatica with a diagnostic code in my military medical treatment records while I was still active duty, but never claimed it when I got out. Can I still claim it now as a new claim since I just had it resurface again?
So the short answer is most likely, because if you have in service, and I'm going to ask Blake on this for a second, if you have in service sciatic nerve, I'm assuming they're talking about it to the back or to the lower back, correct?
Right.
Right, Ashley?
Yeah.
Because you have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the radiculopathy or is that something completely different?
Sciatic nerve issues can
Nerve
cause
damage.
Okay.
radiculopathy, which is the actual nerve damage. So
Okay.
yeah, she could claim it. She needs to make sure she has a current diagnosis, of course. And you need to be able to. What a lot of people don't understand is when you claim things, you need to show how it affects your daily life now.
Right.
Yeah, I broke my foot in service, but it doesn't hurt me now, but I still want to claim it. Well, you might get a 0% on that. So, but yeah,
That's true. And the other thing too is if it was in service and you have a chronic disability currently, like Blake was saying, then you need to connect those together and make sure that you have solid evidence for a current diagnosis, provide the medical records that show your STRs had it, and file the claim with the evidence to support it. Okay, next question.
Okay, this next one is from Nicolette Ramos. If a claim is zero service connected and CMP says yes to impact ability to work, can I try for TMP if I'm at 90% now?
Okay, so there's no TMP at 90. 100% only has TMP. However, your disabilities at 90% could be overall static if all disabilities are static. You can't claim TMP because you're not 100. If the disability is,
I think she meant TDIU.
do you think that's what she meant? Because that's where I was going next with the 0%.
that's where I was going to say she can go TDIU if
Mhm.
even if the one says 0%, but
Right,
prevents you from working
because she's
because
90% overall.
right, but that will also hamper your ability to make anything over about 14.5 a year.
So if, I believe her name was Nicolette, if you're trying to consider filing for IU individual unemployability to get paid at 100% but retain your 90% overall, then you can go ahead and do that and show that your service connected disability or disabilities are preventing you from being gainfully employed. But as Blake said, and we have a video on IU and TDIU, there does come income restriction. You cannot earn more than one individual per the federal poverty level, which I think is around 15,000 annually right now. So if that's what you're trying to do, Nicolette. Okay.
All right, this is the follow-up with John Wooten about the hip.
About the hip?
Yeah, the abduction, adduction. He has a follow-up question on that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Juan Wooten. So thanks for answering my hip-related question. Follow-up. So if the hip can receive multiple ratings, i.e. abduction 20%, adduction 20%, the VA will add each rating to my total disability?
No, those are those percentages are the range of motion. Now, depending on what diagnosis you file for, you can have more than one diagnosis in the hip that you could file for. For example, you could file for arthritis, If you'd had a fractured hip, you could probably uh, file for that. Sciatica can be hip related, those type things. You would have to have more. You're not going to get You're not going to get rated on each one of your disabilities, or each one of your decreased range of motion. They are going to take those and figure it all in. They don't add them up, but they look at them. If you look at the CFR 38 under whatever you're
So
filing, it will tell you what the criteria is for or the rating for your, and what you have to meet. If you meet 2 out of the 3 different range of motions, you'll get rated a certain percentage. If you meet 1, you'll get a certain percentage.
and if you have bilateral hips rated, then you get the bilateral factor. Um, just a caveat off of Blake, like he was speaking of, there's ankylosing. Am I saying that correctly?
Eosine spondylitis.
Ankylosis and range of motion of the hip. There's arthritis of the hip. There's bursitis of the hip. There may be a hip replacement. There's quite a few, but I'm almost positive that, and I'm not, this is where I wish Jackie was here tonight. I'm almost positive the hip, you're allowed several individual ratings. They don't combine the hip. Kind of like with the knee, there's potential to have the knee under code 5260 and 5261. I think the hip allows that as well. I'd like to do some more investigation on that and find that out, because I'm pretty sure that's true. So I think what was he asking about, the abduction and the what, Blake?
He said abduction and adduction, maybe. Ab and ad. Yeah. So one is the movement, is how far out the hip will move out.
Yeah, okay.
And versus how much it'll rotate in. So,
Okay. So basic. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. See, that's where I'm a little, but there is a possibility for it. But again, like I said,
there's flexion, there's extension, there's adduction. I don't think they do abduction. And they do rotation.
Right, but they're going to take all those ranges of motions and combine it into a percentage.
No, they will not, Chris.
No, they won't.
No, there are different criteria. Let's say, because I don't know what the ratings are. Let's say there's a rating for 20%, 30%, and 40%. Well, if you have an abnormal range of motion in 1 out of the 3, you'll get the 20%. If you have 2 out of the 3, you'll get the 30%, and so on. So
it's based on how much you can move one way or the other, and that'll give you a percentage.
Right. So here it is. Limitation of motion has the flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, and rotation. All of that will be taken into factor to give you the rating for the limitation of motion of the hip.
Right. Not a rating for each.
Right. Not a rating for each. Right. Correct.
Got it.
But there is, as I was mentioning, other potential hip ratings if there's other causes. But that is what that is.
Right. All right.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so this one's from Marie Holloman. Is there a link for the proposed changes to some of the ratings, like tinnitus? I know there's a few others. So the upcoming changes to mental health, audiology, and respiratory are coming. Everybody had, so this all happened the same time, pretty much around the same time the digestive system, which we all know the digestive system new criteria has come out. People had 60 days to provide their comments. So the short end of the answer is no, there's nothing really to see what the actual new criteria is going to be, but there is links out there on Google of what they're discussing, changing. Like, for example, I know off the top of my head, they're trying to take mental health and make it a minimum of 10%, removing the 0%, and putting eating disorder in mental health altogether. So getting rid of, because eating disorder is the only mental health that you can be rated for separately. So I know that's one of the other ones. And there's several coming up
sleep apnea, they're looking at reducing it to 0%, even if you have a CPAP, from 50%. Now, don't freak out if you're listening to this right now. If you're already rated, you're grandfathered in. If you've got a current claim, you're already grandfathered in. But those are just some of it. So to answer your question, there's very little information right now, but there is on Google some of the proposed changes on all three. Okay.
Okay, this next one is from Miss Valencia Holland. So, hi, my friend that I served with in Kuwait was diagnosed with brain cancer. Doctor hasn't said what kind yet. What forms should he file?
Well, if it's due to presumptive, it's any brain cancer. I think if I remember reading
Right.
this correctly, right?
Yeah.
So file the ITF, the intent to file now, and put that in place because he'll have up to a year to file due to presumptive for
But
the PACT Act.
he will need a diagnosis listing the type of cancer that he has.
Okay.
Brain cancer doesn't cut it. There are different types.
Right. But I think the presumptive is any brain
Yes, I think that
cancer.
you're right. Any neoplasm of the brain.
Mm-hmm. So just have your friend. First of all, I'm sorry he's going through this, but once he gets the diagnosis and has a clear understanding of what he has, make sure he files. But in the meantime, put the intent to file. Like Chris had the form up. That's the form. You can either go online and file it online right now. And basically, an ITF is you're intending to file. So you're starting a claim and you're clicking save. Or if you don't have a computer and you like to go old school, you can mail it in, or you can actually call and start one as well. Oh, thanks, Peter. Another great loyal listener. We truly appreciate it, Peter. Thank you. You and Laughing Guy are great supporters. We appreciate it.
Okay, this next one's from Jesse. I was denied gastro, but they said it was IBS. How can I prove Terra connection? Navy vet engineering.
Can't answer that without seeing the decision, unfortunately. There's too many ifs here. You know, I'm assuming you filed it primary. I don't know if you filed it due to presumptive. I don't know what you filed, how you filed it. If you want us to help you a little bit more, feel free to email us. Chris will pop up the email address. Send the decision, redacting your personal information. I'll be happy to look at it with the team and get back to you and try to steer you in the right direction. But unfortunately, without really seeing the decision, it's really can't answer. Oh, thanks, Latina. We appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys the donations. It really goes to support our channel. Oh, I like that name.
Infrastructure. Presumptive PACT Act condition of CCRC, kidney cancer due to exposure to PFAS or toxic burn pit exposure with deployment to specific listed countries.
What's the question?
That's what I was.
Are you trying to file this?
Oh, I see. How could one correlate the CCRC to a PACT Act condition with toxic burn pit exposure on a stateside deployment?
A stateside deployment?
Unless
That's
you
what
were
it
at Camp
says.
Lejeune, you might be able to get it in if you're at Camp Lejeune, or there's a couple of other Redstone Arsenal in Alabama, some of the places where they stored some chemicals. But if you weren't in any of those places, there's a list. I think it's in the PACT Act
Yeah.
that lists all the places that you could have been stationed. There are very few stateside. I think it's maybe 5 places. Lejeune is one of them.
Yep. There's a few others. They're in there, and
There's one in Indiana, or Indianapolis, or either
the
Indiana or Illinois.
problem with those is a lot of them are considered presumptive. So that herein throws in Terra, right? The toxic
Right.
exposure risk activity, you then have to prove whatever toxic you were exposed to
Whatever chemical you were exposed to.
caused X. And that's where it takes medical opinion, medical diagnosis, medical evidence to support that. So that's a pretty tough one. Oh, what's this?
This one's from Miss Nancy Tejas. Can we see the DBQ from a recent exam before it goes to a rater?
Nope.
So unless you're active duty, nope. If you have an accredited agent, VSO, a lot of times they can see it. They're not legally allowed to print it. They can discuss it with you. But
They
no,
can
the
show it to you
contract,
on the computer.
huh?
They can show it to you on the computer, but they
Right.
can't.
But
print.
unfortunately, the contracted facilities are contracted through the VA. So their duty is to do the DBQ and send it back to the rater.
Okay, this next one is from Mr. Chris Payne. Does the VA allow Social Security to have access to our VA records?
If you allow them to. If you're talking about filing a claim, and I'm going to let you answer this, Blake. I think if they're talking about filing a claim, right, with SSDI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Social Security they can access. You give them the ability to access when you file. You give them the ability to access any of your medical records. I'll give you the example of myself when I filed for SSDI. The Social Security adjudicator actually called me and told me, I'm waiting for your follow-up exam with your neurologist. Once he puts his note in, I'll be able to see that within 3 days, and I will be able to make my decision at that point. She was also generous enough to tell me what the doctor needed to what his note needed to say for me to get that too. So
Oh, that's nice.
yes, so that can be a big help to you.
Okay, next question.
Okay, Mr. Juan Wooten again. Is a ACE normally a good or a bad outcome?
50-50.
Go ahead, Blake.
50-50.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
for if people are listening, they don't know what an ACE review is. It's basically an acceptable clinical evidence review. It's medical records review only. I'm not a fan of them because every time I've had one, I've gotten denied. But that's just me personally.
Well, it all depends on what's in your medical record.
Yeah.
If you're filing for a back issue and there's nothing in your record, then an ACE exam is going to hurt you. But if you've been into your doctor twice a month for the last 6 months, it's probably going to be just fine, and it's going to show exactly what you.
And a lot of times ACE reviews are when there's conflicting medical opinions. So the rater's asking for yet another opinion to kind of look at both. And typically you'll see an ACE review when the veteran's not required to come in, like I'm going to say it, sleep apnea. You don't usually need to go for an in-person exam. So they'll review your medical records and they'll look at the evidence and give their medical opinion. But
sleep apnea, erectile dysfunction,
yeah,
those type things.
Like Blake said, they're 50-50. Me personally, every time I would get one, I cringed because I felt like it was going to be a denial. But there have been people that have had them and they've gotten grants, so it could go either way. It really, again, also depends on what you're filing. It may only need a medical records review. But again, an ACE is a acceptable clinical evidence review.
Okay, this next one is from Miss Sarah.
You can say the first name.
Priuse. I have an ITF pending for PACT Act presumptives. While going through my medical records, I saw my cardiologist linked my hypertension to my PTSD. Does that provide me with enough evidence to pursue as a secondary condition?
Like my
It,
hypertension.
sure, it does. Don't expect a rating out of it. Hypertension is one that's very hard to get a rating out of. You have to be on a couple of different medications and still have readings that are through the roof.
Okay.
But yes, you can, and you want to, because on down the road, even if you get a 0%, hypertension can cause other problems such as kidney issues that you'll be able to get a rating for.
Okay.
Okay, this next one's from Dort. I'm wondering if genetic testing such as fibromyalgia and EDS or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome could jeopardize claims that I have been service connected for or future claims.
I don't understand the question.
Blake.
Why are you worried about something if you're not filing a claim?
Well, she wants to know that Ehlers-Danlos and fibromyalgia can cause issues, and if you've got it now, I'm not sure. I don't believe fibromyalgia can show up on it. Will show up on a genetic testing, but Ehlers-Danlos will.
Right.
But those things. If the
Fibromyalgia is an exclusionary
right,
diagnosis.
if the EDS showed up while you were in service, then because a lot of people, even though they're born with it, don't get diagnosed till later on. They just think they're double jointed. They think their skin's really elastic, but yes, it can cause problems. It can cause cardiac problems. So even though if you were diagnosed or already rated for those, no, genetic testing is not gonna cause a problem.
So this person's worried about if they've got a genetic testing and it said it was due to genetics.
Right.
That it could potentially jeopardize. Yeah. Well, first of all, like I said, fibromyalgia is an exclusionary test diagnosis. So that wouldn't come up on a genetic testing. So I wouldn't overthink it, Dort. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Sean. I have been out for close to 4 years. My service records are very limited, but prior to separation, I did go to medical to document my problems that I've incurred during deployment on the Navy ship.
Is there a question?
It's a 3-part.
Okay.
I am trying to file my initial claim, and I have been getting so much mixed answers on how to file. I am aware that I need to get a diagnosis, but some vets I've spoke to have provided from their experience that I can just file without seeing the doctor and get it all reviewed during the CMP exams.
Okay. First of all, all right. First of all, I love the veteran community for one, but really seriously, no, don't file for something and just throw it up against the wall and hope it sticks. If you have something to file for, and never rely on the CMP examiner. I'm sorry. Never rely on the CMP examiner to give you the diagnosis.
Exactly. Most of them are nurse practitioners. They are not physicians. They are there, and all they know how to do is cook what's called cookbook medicine. They get if this, then this, stir and bake, and that's all they don't have the critical thinking skills necessarily, or they don't use the critical thinking skills that a physician will. So get your diagnosis first.
So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. File an ITF, an intent to file now. If you don't know what it is, which I think the entire veteran community does know by now what it is, I do have a video on my YouTube. File the ITF, put it in place right now. You have a year to file. That at least secures your effective date if you are granted any disabilities based off that ITF. In the meantime, gather your STRs, get your diagnoses, current diagnoses, and remember, just because you go and see a doctor once and they say, yeah, you need a diagnosis and it needs to be chronic. So for example, if you had stomach gastro issues in service and it was causing diarrhea, all right, now you're seeing a GI doctor. Now the doctor's like, yep, you've got IBS. Okay, well, is it due to service? Yes, it's due. Now you've got that connection. So you want to have the current diagnosis connecting it to service, because I see so many veterans that have a current diagnosis and they think, great, let me just file a claim, but it's not connected to service. So you don't necessarily need the middle part of continuity, but you need the two outer parts. So gather your evidence, let the ITF sit there, get the diagnoses, then file with all supporting evidence at once, and then go to your C&P exams, and you have a better chance. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, this next one's from Charles Beatty. So, currently active duty and getting ready to file BDD. Do I need a current diagnosis on file for everything I'm going to file for? For example, I don't have a current diagnosis for my back spasms and migraines, but they are still all over my medical treatment and notes, encounters, etc.
So
Well,
back
if they're open,
spasms is not a disability, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
The spasms have to be caused by something, correct?
Right.
Okay. Ashley, you're rated for your back. Right.
Yes, ma'am. My advice to him, I would
I was going to say,
see about going ahead while you're still active duty, getting like an MRI set up, or going to the hospital on base, and seeing about occupational therapy, going to them so you can service connect it.
my
The
question to you,
migraines,
Ashley, my question to you is, you had an injury, correct? To your back.
the MST, yeah. My
To your
spine was
back?
fractured. Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
You had an, I didn't want you, it's okay, don't have to get too personal if you don't want to, but you had an
Mm-hmm.
injury to your back.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
That's,
It just
that's,
wasn't. It just did. You just weren't walking along, and it seized
Oh
up on.
no. I had an injury to my back and was
right,
put on profile.
right. So the point is he's saying as back spasms, and as Ashley's saying is, since you obviously are still in, you obviously haven't filed the BDD yet, because that's within 90 to 180 days. So start getting to medical, start, as Ashley's saying, get the diagnosis, get the tests, get stuff done to get a diagnosis of your back, as well as your migraines. If you've got things in your STRs that show you've complained of headaches, okay,
Mm-hmm.
or you're taking medication right now for your headaches. Anybody who's active duty right now has a huge advantage to veterans who have been out and don't, because you've got
Right.
everything there and the ability to file. So
and the
document,
ability to
document,
get it,
document.
and the ability to get a diagnosis while you're still in service.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
And that is the key point, is get everything document, go to medical, go to dental, go for everything and get it documented. So that when you do put the BDD in and you do go for those exams, then you'll have a better chance of getting rated for them right after you leave service.
I think it's a
I
lot easier to
agree.
get into medical while you're on active duty.
Huh, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to go see your doctor while on active duty.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, once you get all that stuff in your medical record, make a copy of your medical record before you leave.
That's a great
I
idea.
love me book. You should see mine. It's thick.
I copy my whole medical record because
Mm-hmm.
who knows where it goes, and you want to get it later, blah, blah,
Oh
blah.
yeah, I mean we hear from veterans all the time that
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, I have no records
So
of you ever being in
I literally
service."
checked my medical record, my dental record on it. I made copies of every page.
And
So you
Right.
know
dental,
you have it.
dental's great too. You want
Yeah, I have
dental.
my X-rays on dental.
And I think also, I don't know how the military is nowadays. Is everything online? Like
Should be
your
all
medical,
electronic.
right? That's what
Mm,
I thought. So print it off, save it as a PDF or something, right? Get
right.
everything you can. But you should be in really good shape to file your claims. Just make sure you've got current diagnoses for what you're planning to file. Because just because you had like you see this a lot too, just because you had a in service complaint or treatment doesn't necessarily mean it's a disability. That's what you see a lot of veterans getting denied. They're like, well, wait a minute. I went to sick hall. Well, you went to sick hall and you had one complaint, you had one treatment, but you didn't have anything else. And oh, by the way, here's the big kicker: you didn't complain about it on your exit physical on your way out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So make sure you document everything on your way out.
And make sure you get a copy of that exit physical.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, this next one is from Jim in Florida. So 40% fibro, 30% cyanitis, 30% IBS, 10% rhinitis. Just diagnosed with severe OSA. How hard to connect this to any of my service-connected conditions?
Like,
Service conditions.
IBS, no. Irritable, fibromyalgia, no. Slim chance on sinusitis and rhinitis.
I was gonna say, allergic rhinitis would be the better shot, wouldn't it? If
Probably.
I've seen veterans get sleep apnea secondary to AR, to allergic rhinitis.
Right.
That would probably be your best avenue.
That's still going to be a tough one.
It is. But and then you need to have the medical, obviously the medical opinion that's stating your rhinitis is causing your sleep
Definitely
apnea.
something you need to discuss with your pulmonologist or your ENT over it, or your sleep
Yeah.
doctor.
Okay. This next one is from DSB Painting. I was recently diagnosed with chronic cyanitis, deviated septum, hypertrophy, like
Hypertrophy.
hypertrophy of nasal turbinates. Can I use that as a PACT Act claim with that current diagnosis, or do I need more than one visit?
Well, if you've got the chronic cyanitis and all
Right.
that currently,
The deviated septum and the hypertrophy, those just go back into the with the chronic sinusitis. Chronic sinusitis does fall under PACT, so
yep.
yes, you could file for that. Again, you'll need you won't necessarily need a nexus for that because it's presumptive.
It's presumptive. They presume you were there. You just need the current diagnosis and linking it and showing you were in the area of the presumptive. So I think you should be fine to file due to the PACT Act. Keep in mind, the PACT Act only removed the 10-year stipulation. You've always been able to file for it. You just had to file within 10 years of leaving service. But the PACT Act removed that. All right. My questions froze up, so I can't see them on to the right. So, and I can't text anybody.
Okay, this next one is from Mr. Ronald Black. I got out in 97. I started VA healthcare in December 2022, filed disability claim for thyroid cancer in January 2023. I have not received a decision yet. I've added 7 more claims since then, and all have been lumped into my original claim. VA so just looks at my records and gives me more to file claims. But what's the use if I can't get my cancer evaluated? How long should it take, and can I move the process along?
Well, stop filing claims and let what you have pending play out. This is where Jackie and I disagree. But once you file a claim, if it's pending and you file more claims, it's going to kind of stop the process because those claims are going to be combined with the existing claim or claims, and it's going to go back to the national queue and it's going to get rerouted, and it does take some time. So if you think you've got any more claims, I think it was Ronald, right? My stuff is frozen up, so I can't see anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Ronald, if you think you have more pending claims you want to file, then just tell your VSO to put an ITF in place for you, or you go online and put an ITF and let it just sit there. You've got a year. And then that way you can take care of the current claims and let them finish out. and see where they go. Because I agree with you. I'm sure you want to hear about your cancer disability claim for sure. But now that those other ones have been combined, so just let those finish out. And like I said, put the ITF in place and go from there.
Okay, this next one is from Ms. Kathleen Fitzgerald. So, does sleep apnea and chronic sinusitis relate? I believe it does. Please help me.
What does she mean relate?
Can she claim sleep apnea secondary to chronic sinusitis?
Oh, is that what she's asking?
Yeah, I think so.
Relate? Well, yeah, you could. And they could also be rated separately. You could be rated separately for sleep apnea and sinusitis, and you can secondary it as well. You're just going to need the evidence to whichever path you're trying to do. Okay.
Okay, this next one's from Jesse again. So I got my initial claim and applied for gastrointestinal problems documented in my service record. Due to my job, pit engineer, and Tara, I should have gotten it, but they denied it.
Got my initial claim and applied for gastro documented service.
Okay. The question is, what was the diagnosis on the gastrointestinal problems? Gastrointestinal problems is not a claim that you can make. You can claim IBS. You can claim.
See, and that's what she had said before. I was denied gastro, but they said it was IBS. How can I prove Terror Connection, Navy vet engineering? We had just did her question.
Well, actually, you can. Gastrointestinal issues is a presumptive under the Gulf War. They usually is.
But that's under an undiagnosed.
Right.
When they're saying she has an IBS.
What was the question again? Chris, can you?
They're giving her a diagnosis.
My questions have popped. My questions have frozen, so I can't see anything over here.
I got an initial claim.
Problems documented in my service. Okay, so she's got gastro problems documented in her service record due to her job.
Right.
And Tara, which toxic exposure. I should have gotten it, but they denied it.
And then previously she had said that they stated as IBS.
But see, a change in theory shouldn't change the course of action. So if they're stating she has IBS, then this is again where we need to see the denial.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So if you want to go ahead and send us the denial, please email us redacting your personal information. We'll take a look at the decision and kind of give you a little bit more because as I stated, changing a theory doesn't change the course of action. So that basically means if you apply for gastro like you did, but they say you have IBS, there's got to be a reason why you didn't get rated. So there's got to be some more information in that denial. So again, I'd be happy to look at it with the team and get back to you. But we really need to see it in order to give you basically a little bit more better information answer.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Charlie Chadbourne. I see 3 forms, lay witness statements, 21-102-110, statement in support of claim, the 21-4138, and document evidence submission, 21-1208. Are all of these current and required to use when uploading claim?
So
he had a second part. Also, I plan on submitting the pages from my medical records along with treatment. I have had over 20 years post-service along with current diagnosis and nexus. Is this too much to submit? Thanks.
So never too much to submit.
So first of all, the VA 21-4138, which is a statement in support of claim, while it still exists, the VA is doing away with it, and they're trying to do the VA 21-10-210, which is the layman statement, witness statement, and veteran statement. So like anybody can use that form to provide their personal statement to support your claim. I don't know what that third one was, and my computer for some reason is frozen, so I can't really look at anything to Google what the 20-10-208, I think it was. Yeah, hold on a second. Chris is in here. See, look at this. It's like frozen, and I can't do anything over here. Hold on, guys. Stand by.
10-2010 10-210 and 20-1208.
Yeah, what is that one?
Document evidence submission.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. But to answer your question, you can go ahead and use the 4138 if you want, or you can use the 10-210 for your personal statement. And as far as evidence, don't overload your evidence. Try to give just the snippet of what needs to go with your evidence. So like if you have 10 pages of evidence, 8 of those pieces may not be relevant. And the rater has got a lot to do, right? So you want to point the rater in the right direction. You want to submit maybe 1 or 2 pages, highlight what you're trying to tell the rater to look at that maybe is in your STRs. And then furthermore, if it's the nexus, have the nexus, make sure Blake's got a really good post in our Facebook group about nexus and IMOs. Make sure that it's filled out correctly, it's complete correctly, and make sure that you're not submitting one that's like 20 pages, because the nexus should not be more really than 1 or 2, maybe 2 pages, but
three at the most.
right. But your medical records could speak for themselves if your doctor puts in the correct language in your medical records. So less is more, in my opinion, when you're trying to submit a claim, and just make it very detailed. Don't get long-winded in your statements either. Short and sweet. Thanks, Chris, for trying, but I'm kind of stuck.
Okay, we did this one.
Yeah, we did that one. Sorry, I probably got him mixed up.
Okay, Mr. Juan Wooten again.
Okay.
So my lower back was approved. I'm losing sleep nightly and preparing a secondary for insomnia. Will the VA require a sleep study? What is your recommendation?
So if you're losing sleep, that's insomnia. That's not. Well, first of all, I hope you're not rated for mental health.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself.
If you're not rated for mental health, then you can file for insomnia, because insomnia is under mental health. Because you can only be rated for one mental health rating right now, other than an eating disorder. So let's take that out of the equation. Let's say you're not rated for mental health, because I don't know the answer to that. You can file for insomnia at 0 to 100% because it's under mental health. Sleep study, Blake, isn't that more or less not for like sleep disturbances, insomnia?
Right.
What is it?
Restless leg.
Sleep apnea, right?
Yeah, apnea, snoring, fatigue, cardiac problems. I recently had one after going for AFib. Those kind of things.
Yeah, so insomnia is not going to fall or require a sleep study. However, if you're going to try and prove that your lower back is causing you mental anguish, chronic pain, you're having trouble sleeping, you're going to need the causation, not correlation, as Blake says a lot. You need the causation. You need to show that your mental health is causing this chronic mental anguish. And typically that also could fall under SSD, which is somatic symptom disorder. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that out there, but it's SSD under the mental health rating. It's actually something that can be secondary to physical disabilities causing chronic pain and mental anguish. All right, next question. Sorry, guys, I can't see the chat, so I don't know.
Okay, this next one is from Mr. Ronald Black. Can a civilian doctor diagnose and connection letter be dismissed?
I don't understand what a connection letter means.
Nexus.
Nexus, that's what I was thinking. Can
Connection letter be yeah. So if your civilian doctor is diagnosing you and providing a nexus letter, it's going to be taken into consideration as evidence. It's the probative of the weight of the evidence to support your claim. And here we go again, right? I think tonight's Nexus IMO night. if the nexus is lacking information that is required to be in it, it's going to develop, the rater's going to develop for a CMP exam. And you're going to go for a CMP exam for a medical opinion. It's still going to be taken into consideration because it's evidence. I see a lot of veterans say all the time, well, my evidence wasn't looked at. Well, yeah, it kind of was, because if you look at your evidence section of your decision letter, it clearly says what evidence. If it wasn't, then that's a Q, which is a clear and unmistakable error. But 99% of the time, your evidence was taken into consideration. So to go back to that, Ronald, the short answer is yes, it can.
Okay, this next one is from Dane Springer. Working on PTSD claim, wondering if I can send y'all my personal statement for critique.
Sure, we'll look at it. You can send it to the email. Just redact your personal information to give us a little bit in the email what PTSD you're trying to file for, so we know. And yeah, we'll take a look at it. Sure.
You may not like what we have to say sometimes, but
Or you may. Sometimes
yeah,
it's good.
you may. True.
But yes, we'll be happy to. Don't forget, guys, I just want to stop here for a second. Hold on, Chris. If you come up here, Chris, for a second, pop your face in. Because I can't tell anybody in the guest chat. Just want to make everybody aware this month is MST Awareness Month. That's military sexual trauma for you folks that don't know that. I'm an MST survivor. Ashley is an MST survivor. We have a lot of MST survivors in our group. We're very supportive of it. Just be aware of it. We like to let everybody know that if you're trying to post in the group, we did bring back anonymous for that very reason, because sometimes those are sensitive claims. Be sure, I did do my first ever testimony. It is on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it. It's pretty powerful. If you ever have any questions or concerns, just like the person just asked us to read their personal statement, we're more than happy to reach out to us. Happy to talk. Ashley's always available. I'm always available. But again, it is MST Awareness Month, so I thought I'd share that with everybody. Okay, back to our regular scheduled program.
Okay, this next one's from Miss Lisa Buster. I have a friend whose spouse served in Desert Storm. Is it possible to file a PACT Act claim if she's now deceased and could have died from Agent Orange?
Well, Agent Orange isn't a disability; it's an exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's a real tough one.
And Agent Orange wasn't used in Desert Storm.
It was in Vietnam, yeah.
That's where I was going with it. For one, she's deceased, so we wouldn't know.
There's no claim to be filed for someone who's
deceased. And the death certificate is going to say what the death was due to, but there's two different confusions here, like those two just mentioned too. Is Agent Orange is an exposure from Vietnam. Desert Storm has other presumptives, but doesn't have anything to do with Agent Orange. So I think the answer, unfortunately, is no. And I'm sorry to hear of their loss, but I don't see anything, unfortunately. Next question. How are we doing on questions? Because I can't see nothing.
We still have a lot.
we got a ton of questions going on. Yeah. Facebook is blowing up. Yeah.
Yay!
And I can't figure out how to tag people on Facebook yet. So like I said, we're baby stepping. The video seems to be working, so that's good. So,
woohoo! That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to tag people like I can in YouTube. I don't know how to do it in Facebook yet. So
we may go a little longer tonight, but I can't see any of the chats.
Yeah, your computer's frozen. I don't know what happened.
My computer's frozen, but at least I'm still here.
Yeah, so at least you're still here.
Okay, this next one's from Stevie. My VSO submitted my claim without service treatment records and labeled it incorrectly. Now I'm disqualified from the BDD process, although it was submitted within the window. What are my next steps?
You have to file once you become a veteran. If you're out of the BDD window of 90 to 180 days, the only other thing I could maybe tell you if your VSO actually erred and didn't file your BDD in time, or filed incorrectly. Maybe you could take it up with the office there and see if there's anything that can be done, because the BDDs are very, very time restrictions. You have to file within 90 to 180 days. So if your VSO legitimately messed up, I mean, people are human, right? People make mistakes. I
Right.
mean, I would think there's got to be something that can be done from that office's standpoint, to see. I mean, I'd even talk to your command and see what's going on and see if, like, hey, this is what's happening. But VA is really strict when it comes to the BDD between 90 and 180 days. If it winds up being you can't get anybody to do anything, then you're going to have to file the day you become a veteran, and start the process, unfortunately, with all the other veterans.
Can he, while he's still active, if he falls outside the BDD, can he file an intent to file?
No.
Okay, that would, I was going to say, would that not retroactive
Nope.
to, he can file the intent to file the day he gets out, though, right? So that
Well,
would
he
still
has a year to file anyway, so it would be a year from his separation date. So he really doesn't need an ITF. The BDD is more to get them like in front of the line, so to speak. But
yeah, it's to get it so that allegedly they start getting paid on day one.
right, but basically the day he ETSs, he can file a claim. If he's not ready to file the claim, I mean, he could certainly put an ITF, but he's got a year from separation to file any and all claims, and he gets a little bit of a benefit there because if he files within a year, it's due to service.
Right.
All right, next question. Oh, we can't see that, Chris. I can't see it. There we go.
Okay. With the proposed changes, this is from Mr. Rick Pinson. With the proposed changes coming possibly for sleep apnea, would an ITF grandfather me to the old standards, or would the claim have to actually be filed in progress when the change takes place?
Well, first of all, we don't even have the changes, Rick. So put the ITF in, and the answer is yes. That's your start. That's your effective date. We don't even know if these changes are actually going to change. It's just a big rumor right now. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it should be somewhere between the summer and the end of the year. The changes are coming. We just don't know when. But the answer to your question is yes. Put the ITF in. If you are granted sleep apnea, you would be under the existing criteria. Next question. Next.
Okay, this next one's from Miss Kathleen Fitzgerald. What happens if your medical records from your first duty was lost? My basic training until my first duty station from Fort Dix in New Jersey.
Well, that's a tough one. If you
Personal-
don't have medical records, huh?
Personal statement.
Yeah, I was going to go personal or buddy statements.
Yeah.
Layman statements can help. Buddy statements on the same form can help as well. Having the current disability is definitely a must. And if your doctor is willing to say that they think it happened to service, then that can help as well. But that's tough, man. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Tim Spears. Is the CMP examiners required to have your DBQ and Nexus letter and information during your exam? No.
Nope. They're only there to conduct the exam that's been asked of them by the rater at that time. They are not required.
They will fill out a DBQ at that time.
That's what they're filling out. They're in essence is filling out a DBQ, but they are not required to have your DBQ that your doctor filled out and Nexus letter that your doctor. They will review the medical records and all that and take that into factor. And they may very well have already done it prior to you coming in for your exam as well. One thing I'm a stickler about is if you're going to go to an exam, I bring anything and everything you think you may need. how you should approach the doctor is not like, here's my stuff, take it. Just, hey, do you happen to know if my blah 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 is in my record? Oh no, I don't see it, because they can see everything. Then you can say, well, I happen to have a copy. Do you mind if I give it to you? So if what do they say? You get more bees with honey than you do vinegar, right? Be
Yep.
kind, be courteous to the examiner, but bring your documents if you think you need to bring them, and then just have a conversation with the doctor. Some doctors are open and willing to take the evidence that maybe is not what they can see, and sometimes they say, nope, I don't want to see it. So my advice is take the stuff with you. But no, they're not required to have that. Thank you, Miguel, for the donation. We truly appreciate it. And he has a question, Ashley.
Okay. My father-in-law is a Vietnam vet. He has been rated 0% for high blood pressure because it's controlled with meds. How can he get that increased?
He can't.
Can you explain that, Blake?
If
'Cause I
meds
can't.
take care of it, the thing about a disability is you have to be able to show how it affects your daily life. Hypertension doesn't affect your daily life. If it's controlled, he's not having headaches, he's not having palpitations, he's not having any of those symptoms, lightheadedness, any of those kind of things. If his medications are controlling him, then it's really not a disability. He's rated 0% because on down the road, if he develops kidney disease, if he develops heart disease, if he has a stroke, those things can be rated, will be rated at a higher percentage because they can be
Secondary.
secondary to his hypertension, which is rated at 0, but he's not going to get any more money for it because it doesn't interfere with his life. Taking a pill twice a day or 2 pills twice a day is not a disability.
That's very, very solid. So, like Blake said, if there's secondary disabilities that come about because of his high blood pressure, since it's service connected, then he could file for those. And thank you again for the donation. Truly appreciate it. Next question.
Okay, this next one's from Latina Sayab. Hi, is bilateral knee arthritis and patellofemoral pain syndrome 1 or 2 separate ratings?
2.
It's 2.
2.
My stuff's frozen. I need to get my laptop.
Patellofemoral pain syndrome
So
is essentially shin splints.
Blake, just look up on your computer real quick, because I'm gonna get my laptop. Look up VA rating code. Oh God, what is it? 5260 and 5261. Is that it?
Hold on.
Is that knee? 5260.
Hey, Steph, see if it's working now.
What'd
No.
you say, 5260?
Yeah, knee. Oh wait. Well, it's not working, Chris.
5260 and 5261 govern the limitation of motion of the knee.
Correct. Those are the 2 ratings that can be rated separately. Can we see the question again, Chris?
Patellofemoral syndrome and bilateral knee arthritis.
Right. So pain isn't rated in of itself, but the 2 rating codes, and again, my computer's frozen. Chris, you can take down sharing the screen if you can. 5260 and 5261 are 2 separate knee ratings, because the knee can be rated separately per those codes. But pain in of itself isn't rated. It's included in one of those ratings with the ROM, the flex, and the extension, and the pain. But that I was correct, right? 5260 and 5261. Blake? Yeah.
Right.
Look at you.
So you can, huh?
So look at you, got a good memory.
Right? You can be rated for the knee for multiple ratings. All right, next question. Sometimes Sometimes Jackie needs to be here though.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Ronald Black. Can I present a nexus letter after filing a claim? How much weight does a civilian's doctor's claim hold?
It is IMO and Nexus tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yes, you can absolutely provide a nexus. The question is the nexus going to be solid, concrete? I highly suggest, Ronald, because you're asking a lot of questions tonight. They're great questions. I highly suggest you watch my 3-part series on my YouTube channel on IMO and Nexus. If you're in the group, I highly suggest you search Blake with the word IMO. His post will come up. He gives a very
Mm-hmm.
good detailed explanation about the difference between correlation and causation, what are the ingredients for a nexus and IMO. I can't tell you how many times this team and I have looked at nexus letters that are cut and paste. Gosh, there was one a couple months ago. I felt really bad, and they paid a lot of money, and it was talking about the disability in one paragraph, and then in the next paragraph it was talking about a completely different disability. So it was obviously cut and paste, and nobody proofread it. I think the license number, right, Blake?
Right.
Right?
You need your license number, your UPN, the physician's license, his credentials, essentially, um, what he's board certified in. All that needs to be listed.
Yep.
They need to be able to track to make sure the UPN is universal provider number. They need to be able to show that they are a licensed physician and
Yeah.
not just your buddy down the street who signed his name with an MD behind it.
Now I know there are quite a few doctors out there that are very good with their nexus letters, but there are a lot of predatory ones out there too.
Yeah.
So you just have to be very careful. But there are a lot of good ones, and the answer to your question is yes. You can provide a nexus. You can provide any evidence after you filed a claim, all the way up till the claim closes. Now, if any evidence is received after the claim is closed, then it was not evidence used to
Decide the
um,
claim.
decide the claim, right? And so I see that a lot of times. So then you can use that in a supplemental.
And one of the things that you want to make sure is it just doesn't say, in my opinion, it's least likely or not, or it's as likely
Right.
or not to have caused it. There needs to be some rationale behind it. Just because
Yeah.
a doctor says it, they need to be able to. Doesn't mean that they're going to take that into consideration. There has to be a rationale to
Right.
show why or why they believe that.
All right.
I
Next
can't tell
question.
you how many Nexus letters I've written.
Right. Hey, Nancy again.
Okay, this next one's from Miss Nancy Tejas. On my claim, I am seeing they are requesting VHA outpatient treatment records. Is this
Mhm.
something I need to turn in, or will they get that on their own?
They'll get
So
it.
they'll get it. The VA has a duty to assist. However, if you have the records, whatever it is they're looking for, you can always just provide those records through Quick Submit and attach them and give them to the rater for evidence for your claim. Um, what they're doing is they're attempting records because they're looking for something that's obviously missing they want to look at. So if you have those outpatient treatment records and you know what they're looking for, just do a quick submit and provide it to the rater, and they'll see it within 24 to 48 hours, I believe. So I would do it. That's just me. Next question.
Okay, this next one is from Mr. Edward Seiler. I constantly had bowel and stomach problems in service, and they continued after service. I finally got diagnosed with IBS and GERD by my gastrologist. How can I put in a claim for IBS and GERD?
So I'm sure you've heard of the digestive system changes. IBS and GERD cannot be rated separately currently. So I would suggest you watch my video that I put out last week on the changes for the digestive system. because there is a couple ways you can do this. If you have the current diagnosis for both, and you have in-service IBS and GERD, I'm assuming you're saying that you have in-service for both, then you can file a claim for both as primary, provide the evidence that you currently have, and you can actually submit an ITF in now, which would force the rater to basically look at the existing criteria and the new criteria. Because the new criteria, let me just kind of put this out there. IBS right now is a 0, 10, 30. The new criteria for IBS is 10, 20, 30. GERD is rated under hiatal hernia right now. GERD is now going to get its separate rating code, but it's much harder to get rated for GERD now. It's pretty much tough to get past 10%, maybe 30 for GERD. So there's pros and cons to the existing criteria and the new criteria. So my recommendation is watch my video. I would put the ITF in. It depends if you want to go that route and be only considered for the existing criteria, if you want to go and be considered for the new criteria. But it is changing as of May 19th, 2024. The link to the CFR is in my description section of my video. I don't know, Chris, I can't see anything either. Are you able to put, I don't know, was that a question from YouTube?
I put the link in there.
Perfect.
Link to the video for that we just did is in there.
Perfect. Okay. So again, it's really going to be a decision for you as to reading you really need to read the criteria of the 38 CFR now and read the criteria of the new and watch my video and see where you go from here.
All right, we're coming up on an hour and a half, which is our normal time frame. We've got a lot of questions that we will not be able to get to.
Okay.
So I don't know how far you wanted to go tonight.
Well, it depends on my comrades. I don't care. We can keep going. We usually knock it off because we don't have a lot of questions. So
we've got more than enough now that it's going to be
okay.
them all in.
I
So
would cut them off.
So you make the cutoff, Chris, to whatever questions. Can you tell everybody that whatever
Well,
in the
I mean,
Facebook?
we've got just in YouTube alone, we've got at least 15, and then Facebook, we've got another probably 6 or 7.
Okay, so let's answer those next 20 questions. And are you guys okay?
That's going to be another half an hour.
That's fine.
Okay.
If they're okay, are you guys okay with it?
I have no life.
I have no
So yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
All right, so we'll answer those next 20. So if you're listening right now, don't put another question out. We're actually going to be maxing out. So we're going to answer the questions we have. If we don't get to your question tonight, we'll make sure we help you out and get answers. Let's go. Let's roll.
All right. This next one's from Miss Paula Allen Weber. I have 30% disability rating for each knee sprain, including patellofemoral pain syndrome. I claimed a secondary claim for hip sprain with limited range of motion. I have been diagnosed with osteoarthritis of my hip. How can I claim this secondary to my knees?
Hey, Blake, the house.
Yep. When if you need to talk first of all with either your orthopedic surgeon or your primary doctor and discuss it with them. See if you can get them to document the reason why the hip is connected to the knee. But essentially, it's the fact that if you take a house and the foundation goes bad, then the wall above that foundation also goes bad, all the way up to the roof. So you can't stack blocks. If you take kids' blocks and you stack them one right on top of the other and match them up perfectly, they go all the way to the top if you take 10 blocks. But if you take that second block and move it over half an inch, then you got to move the third one over a little bit the other way, and that goes all the way up the chain. So yes, your hip can be responsible for your knee. Now it doesn't always work in reverse. So somebody out there that says I got hip pain or hip problems and I want to tie it to my foot, that is going to be a stretch, but going up from the bottom up is a very plausible.
So her knee that's rated now, it's plausible or not plausible for
It
the
is
hip?
plausible.
It is plausible. Okay. All right.
She's got knee problems now, which can throw her hip out above it.
Okay. So basically, you got your answer. It's plausible. You just got to make sure you have the evidence to support the secondary. You've got to show that your knees are causing your hip with medical evidence. Okay. Next question.
This next one is.
We already did this one.
We already did this one, yeah. Okay, this next one's from BPO 2814. I'm filing for an increase in gout. My visits to urgent care have gone up in frequency to 4 to 5 times a year. How do I word my personal statement to be effective? Not too short, not too long.
Well, I don't know what you're rated currently for gout, so I don't know what would be the next higher rating. You would need to look at the 38 CFR and see where you are now and see if you meet those requirements.
One to two flare-ups a year is 20%. 3 or more will get you 40%.
Okay.
If it's incapacitating, which more than 4 times a year, and they do not give a definition of incapacitating, or it causes weight loss and anemia, that can go to 60%, and you can get 100% if it causes an active joint involvement in other joints besides the foot.
Okay, so go ahead and file the increase with the evidence that you've been going to urgent care 4 to 5 times a year for the gout. Provide the evidence for the increase, submit the claim, and see what happens. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Peter. So my friend is having rashes on her body and it's getting worse. She is 100% MST and experiencing neuropathy now. Is there a correlation with neuropathy and acute rashes?
I guess my question, Peter, is why is she considering filing a claim? She's 100%. Unless I'm assuming maybe she might be trying for SMC-S, because if she's got 100% rating for one rating and doesn't have the 60% in additional ratings, then she could qualify for SMC-S. Hey, Chris, can you put that question back up, please, from Peter? And Blake, can you answer on the meta experience?
The rash and neuropathy, depending on what's causing the rash, if it's shingles, then yes, that can cause neuropathy.
What if it's anxiety?
If it's anxiety causing the rash, probably wouldn't cause any neuropathy.
Okay.
Now, my other question for you, Steph, is if she's 100% for MST and she tries to file one of those things, it's going to open up her MST claim.
It is.
Evaluation. She could actually be reduced from that, even if they find that the rash is not connected.
Yeah, my only concern is sometimes if a veteran has got 100% for one particular, if a veteran is rated for 100% but has 60% in additional ratings, then they're inferred for SMC-S. So that's substantial. Peter, look, we got a lot of questions tonight. If you want, why don't you go ahead and message me or email me? Let me know a little bit more about her history, what she is rated besides the 100% solely for MST, and we can talk it out from there. Okay, next question.
Okay, this next one is from Melissa May Foster Hoskins. I've submitted ITF waiting on active duty medical records since December. 10 years of post active duty medical through VA. Should I wait until I have my active duty records to start my claim?
Well, I mean, I guess
go ahead and do the ITF.
This is a very open-ended question here. I see you have an ITF, but the diagnosis is the disabilities or that you have currently, are they diagnosed and you're assuming they're due to service without the medical records, is what I think she's trying to say. I mean, you have the ITF in place right now. It's only April. I would let the ITF sit there, wait and see if you get the records. The VA is going to make an attempt to get your service medical records, but if you really want concrete claim, you really need to show that the in-service injury or illness and the current disability are connected. I mean, it's really up to you. I mean, I guess the VA does have a duty to assist you and get your medical records. I guess if you're really adamant that you know that whatever was in service, you have a current disability and you can prove it, then I mean, I guess you could go ahead and file it now and let the VA do their duty to assist to get your records, or you can wait. It's I don't know. It's really a catch-22. I mean, you got 9 months on the ITF. I maybe wait a few more months and see if you get your records. That's my opinion.
Just don't let the ITF expire.
And don't wait till the night before to file.
Right.
Don't wait till the week before to file.
Exactly. You can wait, but don't wait too long.
Right.
Okay. Once a Marine, 95. If I had some work done on a tooth during active duty and it ended up falling out shortly after discharge, can I claim anything?
Loss of teeth is not a disability. Nope. That's a short, sweet answer. Sorry about that.
Okay. Miss Nicole Johnson. I was discharged in 2015, diagnosed with SLE in 2020. I had some symptoms while in fatigue, joint pain, but no idea it could be on a path to SLE. Is it possible to connect the SLE to service? What is SLE?
So SLE is go ahead,
Lupus.
Blake. Lupus.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lupus erythematosus. I had some symptoms while in.
She has a 5-year gap. But
well, she's there's a 5-year gap, but the question is, did you continue to have symptoms during that 5 years, and was it documented? That would be continuity of symptoms. The average diagnosis time for lupus is probably somewhere in the 3 to 5 year range from onset of symptoms. So, and that's average. So that doesn't mean that there's something out there that didn't take longer. Lupus is considered the great imposter. So we look at a whole bunch of different things with lupus. So I'm going to say
the current diagnosis from
she's got the current. She's got a current
from the rheumatologist connecting it to service.
Right. And, talk to your rheumatologist about all the signs and symptoms you had while in service and ask them point blank, do you think that I was experiencing the signs and symptoms of lupus back then? Take them your service treatment records and let them look at it.
Yeah.
And if they say yes, say, would you please document that in my chart, that you believe it started 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and while in service, because yes, there is a
good possibility. I think that's a good possibility. Especially, I mean, and it's still having it. So like Blake said, just talk to your RA doctor and see if they can help you connect the dots. And if you don't have an ITF in place, put one in place right now and save it to file. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Chicago 312. I recently had sleep apnea approved as service related with 0% rate.
Well, you won the battle. So
I don't understand why.
Well, first of all, here's the thing. If you don't have a CPAP, then it's not 50%. So if you just got rated for 0 and you do have a CPAP, then you need to file an HLR, and you need to provide the information that you are using a CPAP that was given to you by your doctor. Again, I can't see my computer, but I know I think the 0 and 30 are without the CPAP. 50 is with the CPAP, and then I think some of it's mild sleep apnea. So if you have a CPAP that was issued by your doctor, then you should be at 50%. And if you're not using a CPAP and you do down the road Oh boy,
You can,
with the
if you
changes,
do down the road,
yeah, the the changes will be coming too. So you didn't answer. I don't know the answer to that question. If you have a CPAP now, then that's an easy appeal under an HLR. If you don't have a CPAP issued right now, then you're probably rated correctly. Maybe you could get 30. Okay, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Tim Fee. Does it help to submit your Nexus after the CMP exams was slow to learn how to do things?
So
submit
the
it as soon as
Nexus,
you can.
go ahead, Blake.
Submit it as soon as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a Nexus, it doesn't submit it when you originally filed your claim.
I think he might have got it later, but if you have a Nexus, it's not. It doesn't have to be there before the CMP exam. The Nexus is going to go to the rater, and the rater is going to see that medical opinion, and they're going to see the CMP medical opinion. And again, if they're conflicting, then there may be a third medical opinion. However, it's always good to have it before filing the claim because then everybody sees it, including the examiner. But you can always submit it after the CMP exam if you get one from your doctor. Boy, this is definitely IMO Nexus night. All right, next question.
Okay, from Mr. Dave Thompson. Okay, if I have claims that is on the board waiting to be heard, and I took some of them off to file a supplemental claim, will I lose my ITF or will it go back to the original ITF?
Well, first of all, the board's an appeal, so ITF has nothing to do with that. So it sounds like you removed some of your appeals and decided to go the supplemental route. So I'm not sure why you did that, but an ITF is for new claims, supplemental claims, but not for appeal. So that has no bearing with the board and whatever appeal you have waiting before the board. I can't really answer this. If you want to email me and give me some more information, I might be able to help you. But I really can't answer. I don't, because like I said, board is for, sounds like the board is for an appeal, which ITF has nothing to do with an appeal. Okay, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Lisa Buster. Is it best to submit all your claims together? I have many secondary claims that I need to submit, and do I need to have separate Nexus letters for each one?
Well, if you're filing secondary claims to a primary, then yes, you're going to need to show that the primary has caused or aggravated the secondary disability that you're filing secondary. I always say that you should file all at once, but Jackie, she disagrees. She says if you've got the information, then just file the claim. But
My theory on it is, if you're filing a primary and then something secondary to that filing, get the primary first.
Mm-hmm.
well, I didn't know. That's not because you can file a primary and a secondary and not have the primary. You can file them both at the same time, but you won't get the secondary. The primary gets denied.
Right.
You can file them together, but I always say file your claims all at once. And any secondary, the answer to your question is, do you need a nexus? Well, you need to show, you need the causation and aggravation, obviously, of the primary to the secondary, right, guys? I mean, you got to.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean you need a nexus letter. You still need the medical evidence to support that your primary has caused or aggravated your secondary. And again, that can be with just simple notes in your medical records from your doctor where you've had a conversation with them and said, hey, I have this going on. Do you think this is causing it? And go that route. But
and we've seen a lot of combo nexus letters where it's one letter that addresses 3 or 4 different items, and we have never seen it. We've never seen a good one.
But I guess maybe that might have been her question. So the answer to that is yes. each medical opinion should be for that particular disability.
And preferably from a specialist in that field.
Correct. Okay, next.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Juan Wooten. During my last CMP exam, the examiner stated that no medical opinion was required. Good or bad, in your opinion?
What? I don't understand that.
What was his CMP for?
They don't want an IMO, probably.
Maybe it was just for, was it, again, what was the exam for? Was it maybe just
Mhm.
because you had to go there to get measurements? Was it a physical exam? And you were just required to go there for measurements, like your flexing, your extension, your bending. I can't really answer that because I don't know what your exam was for. Next question.
This one's from Once a Marine, 95. I'm service connected for bilateral patellofemoral pain syndrome. Recently got my knee MRIs and have torn meniscus on both knees. Would a claim for DC 5258 be an increase or a new claim?
Well, if you're rated, here we go with the knees, because the knees can have multiple ratings. I'm assuming you must be currently rated for your knees. So I would file for an increase.
Yeah.
Just, you don't need, please don't start quoting diagnostic codes to the rater when you're filing a claim. Just file the claim for knee increase. Provide the evidence where it's showing that your knees have gotten worse with the evidence to support it, and then go from there. But yeah, I would file for the increase for sure. Next.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. James McDaniel. When submitting additional information on a claim, is it wise to attach it to a 214138 form with a statement explaining the additional information so the VA isn't dismissive of the information?
I mean, that's helpful. That's a statement of support of claim. It's an old form. You can use it still, or you can use the new layman 20 no, what is it? VA 21-10210, which is that. But yeah, you can always provide your statement as to what you're submitting to the rater and point out why you're submitting it. It's helpful, absolutely. And you can put that through the quick submit online. All right, next question.
All right.
I'm getting punchy.
Did I miss anything? Because
Yep. Once a Marine.
Yeah, I see he has another one.
Would a doctor?
No, we just did that one. We just did that one. I guess he said it twice.
No.
Oh, would a doctor's letter stating frequency, severity, current medications, and length of treatment be as useful as a DBQ?
Take the DBQ into your doctor's office and have him sign it.
But he's already rated. No. This is the same guy with the knee.
The patellofemoral pain
you're already
syndrome.
rated once a Marine.
Yeah.
You're filing an increase. You don't need a DBQ. You've already established the nexus. You just need your current medical records to show your knees have gotten worse. You don't need a DBQ filled out when you're already rated. You just need to provide the evidence to support the increase for your knees. All right. Are we coming to the end?
So I'm getting multiple questions or same question on both platforms. So I'm kind of sifting.
That's okay. We got another one.
Sorry, Ashley, you got to move over.
No, this is fun. This next one's from Mr. Thomas. Evening, guys. Rated 60% for chronic pancreatitis. Since 2004, retired Navy. Recently diagnosed by VA Richmond for celiac disease. Can I submit secondary with celiac? Actually, is primary to causing chronic pancreatitis. Believe possible not caught by medical prior to chronic pancreatitis. While in service, they possibly misdiagnose cause. Thank you guys. Appreciate all you assist.
So I'm diagnosed with celiac disease. Blake, isn't that kind of genetic too?
Can be genetic. Can also be acquired. But my guess is that 60%. Put it back up, Chris, real quick.
Yeah.
Pancreatic.
60% for chronic pancreatitis is going to be
Pretty high.
pretty high. I don't think you're going to get higher than that for the celiac.
Yeah,
And I think the two of those together would
so
might
celiac's digestive.
right.
So celiac is digestive, so it could go under the digestive criteria if he could prove the celiac disease is due to primary, like due to
So is
service.
pancreatitis is digestive also.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm in the dark right now. Okay. Well,
I don't
I
have
mean,
my phone. I
honestly,
don't have my computer. I got nothing.
I think
You're in the
that
Matrix.
rating's pretty high. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know about celiac. Like I said, huh?
I think that's high. I think that's high for either one of them, but
Yeah.
um,
All right. Are we good? Or we got more?
Boy, I think we're good. That was pretty intense with the Facebook and the hiccups, and
Yeah.
but
I think
we
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 answered
went
more
15
questions
minutes
tonight
over
than
though. We did good.
yeah,
I don't think we've ever answered that many questions in a session before.
I don't think
That's
so
good
either.
because my sleepy meds are kicking in.
So again, guys, sorry for the hiccups, but like I said, we're trying to get to everyone's questions as they come in. Facebook was working. There's still some hiccups for me on my end.
If we missed a question, email us.
Please, yeah. If we missed you, I'm sorry. We had a lot going on, but just email us and the team will look at the email and get back to you. All right. So,
and be sure to join us in 2 weeks. Jackie will be back. She's got an update that she's going to provide in the beginning of our live about the digestive system changes coming up. So be sure to come back then. Bring your questions as well. This was a great turnout. Thanks, guys, for
excellent
sticking it out.
And hopefully we got to everyone's questions. If we didn't, please email us. We're not forgetting about you. We're just out of time.
So we should be back on the 17th of this month, correct?
Yep.
April
Okay.
17th. Yep.
All right. Cool.
All right, guys. Thanks for the crew. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you on the 17th.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Night.
I can't hang up.